Harlan Dan here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's track by track time as we're taking a look at Splinters from an ever-changing face by the band End. The debut studio album by the American hardcore punk band End, a supergroup, so to speak. That term can be overused, but I think it does apply here. And it's released on June 5th, 2020 through Closed Casket Activities. A little bit more familiar with this going into it, thanks to a reaction we did. So I was quite excited to do it, hear the full thing, and sort of come away hoping that, they were a solid band and it was worth checking out. Particularly as it was weird, I ended up going on a rabbit hole before I actually did a track by track and doing something I rarely do. It's going to sound weird, but considering, the review site that we have, is I don't actually read a lot of reviews of other people's work and stuff like that. I just don't read a lot of reviews, but I ended up reading a lot of different reviews for this. And I was surprised by kind of polarizing it is. That ultimately, I never really read anything where anyone was like, this is the best thing ever. Most people going, hey, it's good, but it's got this problem, or it's got this problem, or this, that, whatever, and so on. And it's been like, okay. And that thankfully didn't color my view going in. But yeah, it just surprised me. I was expecting to read that this had made a big impact, but then I realized, and this is going to sound, I don't know, it might even sound slightly big-headed, but I don't mean it to. I'd never even heard this band, let alone this album, before you brought it to my attention. And I'm not saying that, if I didn't hear of it, it doesn't mean anything. What I mean is that I do hear about a lot of bands, thanks to the site and the email and stuff like that. Even if I don't cover them or I don't pay attention to them, whatever, I was so unfamiliar with these guys until you brought them to my attention, which is cool as fuck, because there's so many bands out there and so many people doing music. That's the problem. The bands get buried, even if they are ones with a potentially more attention-grabbing reason. That standing out amongst the pack on media and social media and stuff like that is generally fucking hard these days. So word of mouth still benefits. So the word of mouth, you going, let's check out this track in a reaction video, has now led to us doing this as a track by track, and now made it so that I will never forget End. So it still does work. Where did they come into your life?
Probably, I imagine I would have found them. Oh, I imagine I wouldn't have found them if I wasn't such a big fan of Counterparts. Obviously, they share the vocalist, Brendan Murphy. I think I recognized the album cover because I think I saw it loads on Facebook groups around the time it came out. But I never listened beyond that point up until that Split EP came out late last year.
Cool. All right, well, let's dive into it then. And we begin with Covet Not. It's furious, that much is for sure. The goal seemingly being to make as much of a racket as possible. Yet, there is order within the chaos and a solid hardcore-infused groove that is present. It's pretty good, a little too disjointed for my liking in places, and worryingly, it feels unoriginal. Immediately I'm like, there's a lot of this about, you know what I mean? Like that vibe. But regardless of that, and we often say this, I'm going to use it here, originality I don't worry too much about, as long as what you're doing is good. And this is a good track.
Super hard to be original nowadays as well. Everything
exactly
has been written.
Exactly. So you can't get too mad at it.
No. I'm not too fussed about originality when it comes to music, unless it is literally like a copy and paste of another band. Generally, I don't listen to stuff like this. Maybe not as frantic. I like stuff that's a little bit more
ordered
by the book and ordered. Say that as if we didn't just do Sea Space Cowboy. I really like this stuff. This band, and I don't think that's just because I like the members. I think it's because I do like the music. It's got a certain frenetic that I really get along with. And the heaviness that kind of, that face you make when something's really heavy and you like it, you're like, it's doing that to me constantly.
A nice gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Pariah. I also really like this one. The stompy riffs and crushing drums appeal to the monstrous side of me. The slower tempo really lets the riffs shine, and the vocals are throat-tearing in their intensity. This is a meaty, mean headbanger.
Oh my man, this
Mm.
song gets me going so much. That your fucking end at the end just repeated over and over again. It makes me want to see them live so bad because I never caught them.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly, I think these guys would fit in so well on the Bloodstock lineup.
Hmm.
Um, I would love to see him there, right next to Knock Loose. That'd be perfect.
I think you're out of
Um,
time this year.
I'm not far off. I mean, in a month we'll be there.
Yeah,
Um, this song is real good.
it
If you
is.
need to check one out, this is one to go for.
Well, there you go. You've already spoiled one of your top three then. Okay. Absence featuring Pete Morsay. He's from the metalcore band 100 Demons, but I don't know that band, so I can't comment on what he brings to the table here. Like, I've not got a comparison to go on. Regardless, it is a fiery and furious track with all the manic heaviness of a band out of control. Again, I really like this one. Don't love it, but I still really like it.
For some reason, that name Pete Morsey rings a bell. I'm not
Mm,
sure whether I haven't heard of that band.
100 Demons, yeah, I had to Google it.
This is some heavy, scary freak shit, you know. Um,
As a term, yeah.
um, I love it. I would say it's a Circle Pit song, but I feel like it's too fast because who's running that
Mm.
fast? Like, who's got the cardio for that?
Yeah, some of those a lot of this album, I had a bit like where it's like, oh, this is a circle pit track, but then I'm like, is it a crowd killing one? Or like it's something that's hard to know what the balance is, what it would do to a live audience. I imagine there'd be more crowd killing than there would be pitting.
Yeah. Another thing I really love about End, their lyrics so biblical in nature and that
Mm.
so like every line is filled with so much information. And I really love it. I find myself reading them and being like captivated by them every time.
I almost agree with you, except I kind of end up leaning the other way. I think it's nonsense. For the
Mm.
most part, I think it doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. I almost feel like it's pointless. It's like you've gone out of your way to do this kind of like over the top sort of lyrical content a lot of the time, as if you knew it would be in sharp contrast to an abrasive load of speed and noise. And it's like, well, then that has very little meaning, and I like meaning. But you know, I don't worry too much about it because half the time I'm not listening to the lyrics because I can't understand them. He's screaming in my bloody ear. That's
Mm.
it, you know.
Yeah, I think I'm not that fussed because
Mm,
like sometimes I'm fussed about meaning. Here I'm really not.
yeah.
It's
No, I
heavy,
think
disgusting, scary noise.
yeah, you could not be saying anything. You could just be blurring your way through it, and it wouldn't change the what it makes you feel.
Yeah, it really wouldn't.
Okay, the Reach of Resurrection. This really shows off the hardcore and punk metallic edge the band often has. One of the album's most abrasive listens.
Yeah, I mean, how much can I say?
We have a
I
couple of
really
short
like it.
nasties. We do.
Yeah.
Just we have a couple of short, nasty tracks because that leads into Fear for Me Now. And that same abrasive continues into this short and sharp number. It's 2 minutes of savage anger and hate. These tracks, these two, I think, together, mayhem in oral form.
Yeah. Um, I don't know like what they're doing in that studio, like if they record the songs in hell itself, like is the room upside down? Like what the fuck are you doing in there, guys? Because this shit's scary. Like, like what?
I am a big fan. If you ever read my reviews, I'm a big fan of hyperbole and exaggeration to describe and get a track across because there are only so many times and only so many ways you can say something is heavy, something is noisy, and so on. So over the years, I've gone out of my way to try and find words and ways to describe things that might seem silly, as you just used there, you know, what you've just used there. But I personally love that because you've got to create an image in a watcher or reader's head, because saying this is, oh yeah, this is heavy again, fast and heavy, it's going to get really boring. So we're going to look for ways to do it. And I think you sum it up perfectly. It is hellish.
Yeah. And that continues with the next track.
Well, hesitation runes from that one to one of the more erratic and lengthy offerings. This is End stretching their creative side for me while sticking to their lane of ferocious noise. The blended tempos, the screeching riffs, and blistering breakdowns massively appeals. It is quite impressive, I thought, that End are able to hold my attention here for over 4 minutes compared to what we had before. This is a fucking epic.
I know it's a real long track. I think hardcore bands aren't capable of writing songs longer than 2 minutes 20 seconds. I know I have been folly to that as well. Such a nice time.
Yeah.
It is interesting that they still hold not just your attention but mine. Because I can find myself getting really burnt out on albums really quick and not listening to them the whole way through. It's the problem with streaming platforms these days.
Of course.
Fuck that, I'm gonna go listen to something else. It's 4 minutes long of that same terrifying freak shit, as I put it earlier. And it holds your attention the whole way through, and I think that's really cool, especially with music like this. So noisy, so like mayhemic. That it holds your attention.
It's not a word, but good. I like it. I like it.
It's a word now.
I like it, absolutely. No, I agree. When I saw this one coming up in the track listing, I went, shit. But you know, the whole point of track by tracks is not just for our YouTube content and for you who are watching, but it's also for us. Often it's a great opportunity to listen to an album in full, to take each other's recommendations, to go, all right, we're going to do this one, and we're going to listen to it in full. That is the thing, and this is a good example of that. You know, I would be very unlikely to have ever really done this album had you not said, let's do it. Captivate to my curse. Pure hardcore noise. Stupidly chaotic listen that rightfully is kept short. Any longer and your brain will start leaking out of your ears. There you go.
My brain's already leaking out my ears from like the last 7 songs. It's great. This maybe falls a little flat because they haven't changed the uploads, and this seems like more of that 1 minute 48 long dun 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 like.
Now I'm smiling because you've said that there, and I'm about to say the same thing now. Evening Arms. It's more the same. And I can't deny I'm getting numb to the noise. The word I would use is numb. This is quite indiscernible to everything that came before. Even though the overall manic vibe is still appealing and I think it's a good track, the word numb kept coming in. And I was I found myself being a little less impressed. A little bit more like, all right, cool. Got anything else in the Arsenal, guys? You know?
I agree to a certain extent, but I do like Evening Arms. It's got a little bit more melody tucked in there with like certain leads and chords. I really like. I mean, you've still got that horrible ball of noise. Who's surprised? It's End.
At this point, yeah, absolutely. There's no surprises anymore.
No, not all.
Then we get an apparition. Yeah, that's the thing. I still like it. Like, it's just that, I just noticed the numbness there, but you know, there you go. And an apparition. I love that rolling drum intro. But it's here I realize, for me personally, End are often at their best when they drop the tempo. This being another high-powered and fast offering that beats me over the head right up until they switch up briefly and get really chunky. And I was like, I love that.
It is different in a way. It's still got that same End noise, but when they do slow it down a little bit, you get to really focus on each kind of punch to the back of the head, because that's what it feels like. It genuinely feels like End of like picked you up, thrown you through a glass table, kick the absolute shit out of you, and spat on you and be like, "Oh, what are you gonna do about it, dick?" Like, that's just what it feels like listening to this album.
It's a wrestling match where you are completely untrained, not like fit in any way, and you're against a 250-pound hulking man beast who does it
Brock
every
Lesnar
day.
just picks you up and just throws you into the crowd, and
That's
the whole
it.
crowd is also Brock Lesnar, and they're all just picking you up and throwing you as well. Like,
That's a funny image. I like that. Okay. All right. Every empty vein, the shortest track at 1 minute 45. And it also has some of the most horrible sounding guitars on the album.
I mean, are you surprised?
No.
They get like really chunky about a minute in when it makes you want to move, I like the sampled ending, which has happened once before. Earlier, I think it was Evening Arms.
Okay.
I like stuff like that, but it comes in as a really short track because the last like 40 seconds or so is that sample.
Yeah. Yeah, it is just a quick one to get out of the way. And it kind of makes sense as well because the last track, Sands of Sleep, which features Tanner Merritt, is the longest track in the album, 5 minutes and 20 seconds. I know, insane. Tanner is from the rock band Oh Brother. I don't know them. Simple as that. I don't know them.
Seems like a weird feature.
Am I right? Well, when I Google it so I could get for the notes, I was like, this doesn't feel like it fits. But to be honest, I can't really work out what he adds to the track, if I'm, but I am a big fan of this track as it really changes the tone, the dark groove, nasty lower tempo, guttural depths and bursts of chaos work for me, and refreshes the album right at the end. Perfect timing, making sure that there's a positive impression at the end where I'm just like, yeah, I really enjoyed that.
There's difference to it. There's like you've got those clean kind of chorus layered in behind like really scary soundscaping and bass, and it really shows that End can do different things. I think they're just choosing not to.
Absolutely, and that would make sense considering the people in it. You would know they would be making a conscious decision to stick to kind of one thing. But then, like I said, either throw this in at the end, be a bit more experimental, we'll change it up and surprise people, and who knows what will come in the future, if anything at all. But overall, I enjoyed this. As I said, a little bit numb near the end, but I was still enjoying it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, top 3 tracks. I'll take this one then. So I've gone with, unsurprisingly, the 2 longest tracks, the 2 of them. I've got Hesitation Wounds and Sands of Sleep. But because of its impact quite early on, Brrraains is my 3rd one.
Brrraains would also be my first. I'd go with Evening Arms for a second and Sands of Sleep for the 3rd.
Okay, so 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3, not bad. Not bad. Okay. That is Splinters from an Ever-Changing Face, the debut studio album by End. Got any thoughts and you know what to do? Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?